So the audio gets out of sync with the video.
I don't know, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
Note to self, let's make it sound funny.
Everyone talk really, really slow.
Then we can start doing the Japanese dub look. Yeah, like Jimmy Don. Everything always wants to slide out here now. That's why I like the old subway when they used to just make the boat, you know, they dig it out. I hated when they switched to cutting it flat. Everybody else from here today, except Helena.
Is she not gonna be here? She never responded.
She's still on a cruise.
Oh,
Yeah, she was.
She's out of touch.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you.
Okay. I need, right?
Yes.
That explains why I did not pick it.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna be here next year, next time. I'm like, we do that, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
go, have a good time.
Yes,
She's had a rough year.
Yeah, she's in the group.
she has definitely.
You'd think she was having a blast all year though, if you just listened to her travel plans. Two trips to
You took the
UK.
context completely out of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of them was almost
Somebody else.
5 weeks. Spent 5 weeks in the first house. Oh, awesome.
Context is pretty important for that.
Somebody else is sharing.
Oh.
It's only one other person in the meeting, so we. Good one. Screen two. Or this one.
That's your actual presentation. Oh, this last time. How's it going? Good, how are you? Good. Yes.
In my email, I sent them. Context in the meeting.
I just, it's fine, we get the hamburgers and letters.
Why not?
It's not your application, whatever.
Send it. outside road.
How's the train? It's a left the station now. It's on its way. So, is that? How is that? Sorry. I just love.
Now there's, now I'm sharing. Uh-huh.
That's far, yeah. Two are, we know two aren't coming, so can't start for.
Everyone else said yes.
Jerry said yes, he was gonna be here on Monday or Tuesday.
Well, I do, I always do it like right when it
Public
gets,
meeting.
no, I don't.
Jerry? Jerry? Oh, Jerry.
Hold on, I'll be right, Sam, you sign this. Please, oh, and Ryan's here too.
Hey, Murray.
Let's speak to it. I went through last week, and last time. It's the one by the high school where they're taking 1 month to. So there's minutes.
How are you? How are you?
Hey, Murray, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On 6th West, where they're doing they're digging up the pipeline, they put in all the concrete, now they've delivered black pipe. Are they gonna insert that in the concrete, or is that something?
It's probably a water main. So they're putting the storm drain in first.
So the storm drain is so they're gonna put that up,
Concrete
they're gonna put that above the water main or beside it, or they
Beside it.
beside it?
Yeah, it should be deeper than the water main.
Really?
Yeah, so the storm drain line runs all the way to the tank and drains the tank,
Okay.
as well as picks up some surface water.
Okay.
And then the water main delivers
Yes,
the
yes.
water tank down to the
So
sprinkler
that's-
zone.
Okay, I was just trying
So
to
there's
figure out.
2 pipe systems, and then some of the sewer had to be relocated. For the other 2.
We supervise it on a daily basis. We're supervising on the construction. We're like, what is all this black pipe doing here?
Nope,
Like, what's meant to be tomorrow? Is Alan asking to go to?
when I stop snapping.
The volunteers meeting is at 7:30.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, so,
It's not good.
You're talking about the.
which meeting? You made it sound.
The station plan.
Oh, that's at 6.
Okay. That's what I was asking.
That's why the volunteers meeting is at 7.
I was asking about the station.
Sorry. I told you my calendar, sometimes I get it overbooked.
I kind of feel like you're always in.
Yeah, I'm already
Just always near me.
I remember sure good, so I went there.
Okay, let me know when you guys are ready. Are you ready? Okay, good. All right. We have 4 of us, so we have quorum, so we can start.
Jim won't be here.
Okay. Then let's get started.
All right.
3.1,
Item 3.1 is a map of Hill Crest Ridge. The property is currently a PRD zone. It's going to remain PRD, but they're going to add an overlay zone to that existing zone. This is where it's located, just off the University Parkway. This is a concept plan. It's going to be a commercial building with 4 residential units in it. They have, they're modifying or amending, I guess is the word, the text. And so they will have, they meet the parking requirements of the new amended text for that overlay zone. This shows the current zone where it's a PRD. This shows it with the overlay. This is what the elevations look like. They will be 3 stories. The first level will be office. The second level will have 4 units, 1 in each corner. The middle part will be more office. And the top third level will be office. And then where it's not, doesn't go all the way over, that'll be a rooftop deck. This shows the floor plan, so you can see where the office will be, where each of the residential units will be. There's 4 of them. And then where the office and open deck area are on the 3rd level. So this shows the current concept plan. Previously, this had been for a PRD and it had been approved for 10 townhomes. They were the Hunter townhomes. So this shows both concept plans. These are the elevations for both Hillcrest Ridge, which we're looking at today, and the elevations for the previous PRD. This is the text. It's a very specific location. We have a boundary on University Parkway and the east of 800 East. And it cannot be less than 1 acre or more than 2 acres. The park.
So that text says this overlay has been retired since 2003 and we're not using it anymore, right?
Correct.
And they want to resurrect it.
We are amending it.
I have a bunch of questions about it too, so let's let her finish.
We'll get to it,
presentation,
I'm sure.
And we'll discuss it.
So there are restrictions on the number of residential units that they can have in any building that meets these requirements. And then there are parking restrictions on any units that are in the building. So there has to be at least 2 parking stalls for each residential unit. And they will be designated with paint and signage as residential only. Concept plan has to have specific items in it to show what they're doing. And you've seen all this in your packet. So this is what it looks like currently. And now I'm ready for your questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a PRD.
It's currently a PRD, yes.
So why not amend the PRD? Why create an overlay for this specific piece of property?
Because we don't currently allow commercial uses in the PRD.
Okay.
PRDs are strictly residential.
Okay.
So this is a unique, PDs are not permitted right now because of the proximity between University Park and this property. It's within that council. My question doesn't want to bring up PD requirements. So the overlay zone, which we've had in the past, there's one project that we built under the standards. It was taken out after that, which is why you see it. But the standards were in place. It was in the ordinance, it just hasn't been used over time. So this is just a way to facilitate a specific project. This project, it doesn't mean somebody couldn't try to implement it somewhere else, but this is a mechanism for us to be able, or for them, to apply it at a specific location.
Access, as you can see, will be through the 14 South.
Will they be connected into the commercial property there, or will it strictly only be through 14 South?
Only through 14 South.
So why did we discontinue the overlay in 2003?
So the project that was in, which is a real estate company building, that has 6 units above, 202 East, 800 South, which is between State Street and North Boulevard. It was built back in, so I don't know if you've been down there. It's right next to the place where you can take your pet and get it washed, next to a car wash.
Schedule.
Agent
No,
works.
no,
Anyway, there's a
I'm
real estate
not-
agent on the ground floor, Rocky Network or something, anyway. And they had 6 units above. The council approved that back in, it's been probably late 90s, I guess. That's how long it's been. Once it was approved, there hasn't been an issue with it, but for some reason, the council at the time didn't really want to see that. So they recently took it out of the books, even though the project had, which is why we left the ordinance in place, because there is a project that is subject to the standards. We basically didn't implement it again. The PD zone typically was used, when somebody wanted to do something like that, a PD zone was the one was. And until the council took out that option a couple years ago. So for whatever reason, that was the reason why it was taken out. They just, I don't know if they didn't like it, or they would rather do a PD zone. Doesn't look more, meter the standards, so to speak. This is kind of a unique ordinance that was built. It doesn't just take that, it takes into the corner where, right across from the Veterans Hospital now, that block on the south side, that intersection, the entire. I have it on my computer, but I can't really show you. So this whole section right there has that overlay zone on top.
Yeah,
On
it used to
State
be the CVS,
Yeah, on State Street,
Yeah.
the old 7-Eleven.
So Rite Aid, or not Rite Aid, Walgreens.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that, those properties are part of the,
the old archery store.
although only one project was built. So one that has the 6 units, that's the only thing that's ever built under that units.
So does it currently have the overlays still?
Currently does, yes.
So if we change this, that means that someone theoretically could use that within that area.
Yes.
I'll make a couple comments about that, Jason. That was the old reorganized church in Jesus Christ. Well, it's Community of Christ, I think. But no. So that was where their church was eventually. The owner of that did have permission without any change. Was it 10 townhomes?
10.
They could build 10 townhomes there. But they're talking to about that and him talking. What a great place to have an office building as you come up the Orem Hill instead of a bunch of parking. So they started looking at that. He's associated, he's affiliated, he's a Smith. His Todd Peterson's property on 8th North, as you drive up, there's an office building kind of right there. That's been some major deals done. Like the Jazzbeat block was done in that building. And this will be a similar kind of executive offices in the top of this. So I think it's pretty exciting we have that in Orem. I mean, just personally, I love to see that kind of stuff in Orem where you're going to have opportunities for businesses to be meeting. And he's told me some of the people that are going to have offices in there. Anyway, so I'm excited about it. I think it'll look so much better than a bunch of townhomes right on the edge of that field to drive up and see this office building.
How many residences will there be in here? It's
Four.
only 4. So rather than 12, we have 4 residences.
So instead of 10,
10,
we have 4.
okay.
But they're integrated into the building. But looking at the floor plans of the building, like maybe this is an applicant question, but like who do they foresee living in those units?
He's represented me, it's probably mostly family.
Okay.
Like his kids or.
Like I said, looking at the floor plan of the building, it's kind of like, okay, who would this be catering towards? Like,
Yeah, that'd be a good question for him to know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's people that roll office out of there too, I don't know. It would be kind of weird to share a common wall office, but you know what? I don't know, the one on that Jason represented, we've never had any issues with that building. It's
I'm just kind of curious because like the way the floor plan is and like I said, kind of who's it catering towards?
I could see him using it more for like, almost like a hotel for business associates. Possibly, yeah. Novell used to do that, lots of business that work for them. They have apartments that they lease to people or give to people when they come to visit and work. And so, you know, this is probably their thinking executive suite. And so they have four apartments for people to stay in. So this was really, to me, it seemed more like a whole commercial application and run around.
Well, and that's where I kind of wonder too, like why not a commercial zone, but because of the 4 units, it takes it out of that, so.
I mean, to be honest, we've come up with a creative solution for the product that's being proposed. It wasn't really a good fit.
That's fair, but we're just trying to suss this out because it's a new thing,
But
so.
that's how we kind of got to where we're at.
What have the neighbors said so far on it?
Every phone call I've received has said they don't want it. They don't want commercial building in their neighborhood.
How many have we had?
4 or 5.
It's a high percentage for the amount of people who live in the space. Right.
And I guess that was my one concern is that if the only access is on 14 South, that makes it, all those homes are suddenly gonna have. Because one thing was a church where it was periodic at certain times, but every morning and every evening, adding that to that back corner.
They consider trying to get an access agreement with
Yeah.
Squire
That's what I was
to
gonna
go
ask.
through their parking lot.
Yeah.
We don't want
Alright, so no.
Squire doesn't.
The developers are here, do you want to come inside or do you want to wait for the?
We can put the meeting.
We can do it in the meeting.
wait for the-
That'd be a good question for them though, is why we're able to get access to Squire.
I think he'll be here today too. Any other questions?
I want to see, so the building actually will be over top of University Parkway, kind of it's set out towards the edge, is that right?
It'll be 3 stories. Kind of like it, there's an incline that goes up. Isn't there a grade that goes up? So University Parkway is up high. I don't know.
Yeah, you can kind of see the big gap. That's all.
Anything else? That's good. Okay.
All right, well, that's all we have.
So one item,
So we have a little bit of time.
we're not doing training today. Wasn't in that, it wasn't on
Wasn't
the
on the,
agenda.
we didn't prep Gary.
It's okay. Okay.
Teach you to juggle.
That would be really good.
So you should bring the builder in here, then talk to her now. It's not the time.
It should be part of the regular meeting. Should be on the record there. So, okay,
There's time set aside for that.
so I guess we've got a recess for about 40 minutes.
Like that time to eat your lunch in peace.
There you go. Just stop for a minute today.
So the notes is coming.
This time it just says
Everybody but Jim.
Jim and
Helena.
I guess Helena's on it. That's why she never responded.
Because they got the budget sheet in there, all that, the same company was putting in.
She told me last meeting.
Yeah, she told me
I
too.
think they've got to get this done.
But like an exception.
Sam might know better, but. Well, that would be why she probably not responding to me. I'm getting over it.
She was middle of the ocean somewhere.
Okay.
Where was she cruising, do you know?
Caribbean.
She said Honduras, yeah, doing that kind of Western Caribbean.
It was already
February.
Oh, fingers go mostly out in the Atlantic and affecting those islands.
Yeah, you want their fire when you're.
Yeah, they keep hitting like Canada.
Yeah, they do.
We did.
They're going into New York.
The other day,
Virginia.
the first time we went up to.
The current ones, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Like, oh, that's big.
And then we still have to build the well house. Station. Hey, it's
For
getting
Bermuda.
closer.
Just over and over and over.
And also just make sure for.
Mike, do you have any information on this? Did you send you anything? Where's Helen?
She's on the cruise.
Good for her.
Yeah. She's traveled a lot. Let me look at the grants.
She's on a cruise.
Well, she's been to England twice for not for fun.
of questions on that, Brian. Therefore, how many people were noticed for this?
I'll check.
It was in the packet, but
I've got it
we asked
right. A
before
couple
we
of
came up.
seconds when it loads.
500 easy.
So nice over there.
That's all, we only do 500 feet, which doesn't get you very far. That's why the state requires actually 2 months. But should we do, I think we should do more than what more required personally. Yeah. Well, a lot of times better than no, that's true, yeah, but you know, I mean, in this case, anybody on that road would be affected, so if anybody on that road should have been notified. They were notified up to these things.
Is there anything you can do to induce Squire to grant access?
Are we recording?
Yeah.
No.
We're still live?
Yes.
Except, but yeah, we haven't closed the work session.
I closed the work session.
I have the number and your mom's it. 241 property owners within 1,000 feet of the property.
So you did 1,000, yeah.
That's because it technically counts as.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
We're recording on right now. Yeah, I want to know the answer to that question.
It doesn't pause.
I don't want to give an answer that I don't know is actually correct. Right. But I think I know one.
So this is all right.
Yeah.
I won't take it. I was gonna tell you about last night, but I won't look at that.
I sent you that.
Here I was with your old boss this morning, Michelle.
Oh. Utah Lake.
Yeah.
I'll tell her that you said she's old.
Actually, I told her the opposite. She's dropped some weight and was fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for her.
So I said, what are you doing? I said, are you sick? She said, no, I get up at 4:30 every morning to work out. 4:30.
Takes a lot of diligence.
Yeah, it does.
Makes a difference.
That's not a good way to say it. I didn't say, oh, I didn't say, you look great. I didn't say, are you sick? I said, you look great. Are you doing this on purpose or?
So what's going on with Utah Lake?
Wasn't too much. Yeah, we talked about the algae bloom and the car, you know.
Yeah.
No, there's actually some pretty cool stuff. With Vineyard and American Fork, they're working on a trail. So where you're going through the marshland, you'll have this wood path that you go, all through.
Yeah.
So they're trying to keep everything natural. It's not like the whole thing when people are trying to stick islands in the middle of the lake, goofy stuff. But this is having a nice trail around the lake. Natural.
With that, years ago with that Utah Lake Commission, we went out to take a tour of Utah Lake. And
Yeah.
look at different things all around it. And we went down by Bird Island. And whoever was driving the boat, prop hit a rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the boat still worked, but it took us, I think, an hour and a half to get from Bird Island back to the boat.
Wow. So much for that. We went out there to sailboat. That was fun.
Oh,
But it also has a backup motor, but not today, but we've been out there.
yeah, you know, as a kid, you'd go out there and you'd go water skiing and you thought,
Yeah.
oh, it's just certain times of year interesting, you know, you make a wake and it kind of have a green tint to it.
Oh,
You didn't
yeah.
think anything about it.
It's not real healthy.
No, well, we know a lot more now, don't we?
Oh. So as a ranger out there, when I was going to college. Ranger trainee, not a real ranger, but I wore the ranger uniform and act like a ranger. But when there was a bad bad storm, we go out on the water and try to tell people to get off the lake. You know, and they flip, they give you bad, sorry, you know, they do, but, and then they call in, be distressed because they're stuck out there, and I'd ask the rangers, are we gonna go out and rescue them? Go, no. We're not till the weather blows over, anyway. So we sit inside there, and watch the storm.
Don't need two boats in danger.
What's that?
You don't need two boats in danger.
No, and that's what rangers say. I mean, like that, I'm a ranger trainee, so I don't have much say, but I do the ranger stuff.
My stepdad was a ranger in residence in Utah land for years.
Oh, did it?
Spent junior high and a lot of high school out there.
Yeah.
Just access, my mom was here.
Well, that dredging they did was sure impressive.
Yeah.
Really made a big difference out there.
Yeah.
And a brother of mine worked for Utah County years and years ago. Yeah, doing mosquito abatement, and his job was to go out by Utah Lake and other areas, walk out to a field and then just stand there,
Oh.
let mosquitoes get on him, and he'd slap them,
Oh.
and put them in a little vial and bring them back to the office. It was like human bait.
Wow.
Wow.
So is your, how much older is your older brother?
Well, so Dave is
So Dave's age is probably
Scott. Yeah, I think they're the same age. And then he's, Scott's age, and then there's a brother, Ryan, who is what? 2 years older than Scott and Dave,
Okay.
that group.
They're all still babies to me. Anyway. This family all went to Orem. And as the church.
We went to school with other brothers.
We had Capital Road State Fair last night,
Oh, did you?
and that was great. And we were doing a special constitution kind of party. And that was my deal, so I had Chad come. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Introduce him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in 30 years. I don't
So is Chad younger, older?
He's a couple of years younger, maybe
Yeah.
3 years younger, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, he grew up a couple of streets to the east of me. I was in the old welfare farm,
Yeah.
north of Costco, you got the two churches.
I could share in there.
Yeah, we picked cherries, we do water turns.
Yeah.
We loved it because you go on the old pitch banks and get asparagus.
Yeah.
It would grow wild.
So I had the water turn one Sunday, and I'm sitting out there, but no one came to spell me off.
Oh, really?
And it's like, am I gonna die out here someday? So I don't remember where the turn was, but it seemed like it was forever, 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, a couple hours.
So I was there like 8 hours, so the next guy came. Before cell phones.
Yeah.
I can't barely leave.
Yeah. I can remember doing that. We'd be out there at night. We always would,
Well, I mean,
bunch of
because
friends,
they
we'd
gave access to
bring
that.
chairs and
Yeah.
volunteer to do the, 2 to 3 a.m. shift.
Yeah,
The state control University of America.
I wasn't smart enough, I should have brought a book and a chair, and I didn't have to stand there all the time, but I just.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
guess you couldn't cut across if you put access.
That was a lot of fun.
They got
I
that.
mean, I was the oldest, so my dad would say, Terry, go represent our family on the welfare farm for making assignments. I
Yeah.
go, well,
Yeah,
how about
that's the
you?
only one I have.
I got my little sister sitting right there.
Better one?
Terry, why don't you just go represent us? Anyway, so that was my deal, I feel like not myself. My family's, I'm representing the family.
Catch span.
That's okay. I was talking to somebody who they had an assignment at the cannery.
Yeah.
Years ago at the Linden Cannery, and they got there and they're working. And this woman showed up and they're like, oh, who are you? And they started talking to her and it's like that she was somebody's maid. And they
And they signed her, wow.
and they had her go.
Wow.
A canning assignment, and I thought to myself, I think that's kind of messing the point.
Yeah, there's a service thing in there, element. Well, we didn't have a maid, so.
Yeah, we didn't either.
Me too. Have to be set up for a state meeting for.
That lake can be a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
I hope they can really figure out some solutions, and it's great to see all the communities getting together and making trails around the lake. Soon be able to do stuff.
The trail around it, I heard how far, is it 100 miles? I can't, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Long, it really is long.
But the concept, I think, is great, you know, to have, especially if it's federal money instead of our money, but, you know, to have a trail you can go around, and that's pretty neat.
Well, if it's federal money, it's our money.
Well, you're right, it is, absolutely.
They stole it from us in a different way than the state does.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the free buses are not free, is that what you're telling me?
You mean there really is no free lunch?
Yeah, what?
We just had one.
Well, if you're a federal politician, then there is, but the rest of us not. Maybe some politician, but
Yeah, you have your own healthcare plans, and you know, that's.
And a
little
retirement
different than
plan.
Everybody else, a little different retirement plan.
it takes almost no contribution to be solid.
So I reported something you guys are gonna hear on the news tonight, but I'm not gonna do it at the recording. Yeah, I did it, that recorder turned off.
Talk to your wife and your daughter outside.
What's that?
I talked to your wife and daughter about it during,
Today?
they were doing their interviews outside.
Oh, last night?
Well, I talked to them today, but
Oh, yeah.
they were out doing an interview
Okay.
just over here
Oh, they were?
after the mayor. He
Yeah.
did an interview too. I talked to them
Okay,
in between, so. It's nuts, huh?
so
We just missed the whole event.
so there was a little scuffle not a scuffle, assault on the mayor last night.
Oh. Captured on video.
And I went home.
Yeah, I watched you.
You didn't want me to go home?
I watched you get in your car because I was talking to David Yanda.
Yeah.
It happened shortly after.
So I'm driving down the road, and I called Jesse, I had a question. Your daughter just got hit by somebody, and the mayor just got hit. What? Anyway, so I turned around and put back there. Anyway,
He hit your daughter?
yeah.
Janelle Pugmiller's daughter.
So be careful, this is
Being recorded.
these are 2 felonies, so recording.
Said she was charged with 3,
Is it 3?
because it's also threatening a public official.
Yeah.
Which is a felony,
Not good.
and it's all recorded, so
Yes.
it's not even hearsay.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Never goes in.
Now, someone said, well, what happened? I don't know, I was driving home.
There's a great YouTube video, it's years old, years. It's a planning commission meeting or a council meeting, I think in California.
Oh.
And somebody went up to address the council or the planning commission. And they got done and they turned around to leave. They had, I think, a plat or something or some papers in their hand. And as they walked by, there was a staff member sitting in the chair. And they walked by the staff member, and as they went by, they kind of backhanded the back of their head with the papers. Just kind of went like that. And staff member kind of sat there for a second, went like that, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, whatever.
And I thought, oh my gosh, an NBA game that broke out.
Yeah.
Going on.
That's a soccer.
For a soccer match.
That's what I was thinking, soccer flopper.
But it was great, you know, it was one of those, just like in a soccer NBA game, you know, you have the impact and then like.
A big projected moment afterwards.
Yeah, it's like a good half second, 3/4 of a second, then it's the.
Just swore there was video delay there.
That's really basketball. I really think that penalized that.
I do too. I hate to see it.
They're all frustrated actors in California, aren't they? Maybe they miss their chance for a big moment.
That's right, that's good points.
Pardon?
My latest project that I used to do. Yes, it's an analysis called part.
That's really good.
This is each. It's divided by parts of the project because.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, I just chose to do that.
I talked to Tiffany and Michelle about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to go for with Woodbury too.
I talked to your wife and staff engineers, or I mean Michelle,
What did you
Tiffany.
decide?
Lenise asked for this. More or less, there's some stuff.
No, that's scary, because you don't
It's
know
also
if it's
divided,
done,
clarifies all that.
Right,
it's dark.
And then, they have a private
I
project.
think it's just fortunate that your
They've
daughters are
subdivided the lot
intuitive and smart,
this.
they got the camera ready to
So I
go.
just thought it would be helpful to break it out, like, okay, like on this.
Well, I
one,
remember
they
at
built a
the
little
time of the
building,
Provo,
Right,
at the planning commission meeting,
well,
we
they're gonna
had,
be short,
occasionally
So-
there can be
that would take from here.
some emotion.
No, this is tied to this.
controversy over an issue.
It
And
is,
somebody
but
came and they had
for some reason
a
they're divided up. the ownership
concealed
side.
carry permit,
So-
but it was making everybody in
I know why
the
they cost them, because they like.
So like.
room
this had a
nervous
primary
because,
use for that.
you know, he
So that was-
stood up and as he moved or something,
Like this had a primary use. that
you'd
had
see
so-
the gun on the hip.
This
And
is-
wow, and
all
so
this parking
people were getting so nervous and
So the next thing is to split it up, like
you don't
What
think
belongs to
anything's
this?
gonna happen,
Well,
but
say like-
call an officer just to have
what
it
belongs to
there.
that and what.
You
what
know,
is
just
reciprocal
to
to
make
this?
sure, you wanna make sure everybody's safe.
No, it's, when I was at Merrill Lynch.
Yeah.
In 1987, like a long time ago, the market.
So
had a
this
major
show is actually had
Yeah.
a couple more columns.
We had a manager shot in Florida, or so.
Really?
This lot,
Killed manager.
so for instance,
So,
final
they were
shortage, you got
worried
some
about us, so
deficits.
we had an armed guard,
Oh, it's just deficit.
yeah, plainclothes, but
Right.
in
Well,
public, sitting in their office,
I'm just gonna draw,
for a while.
let's say.
We had some clients were a little nervous about, this is the same.
I'm just gonna say, well, this area here is 120 spots.
Yeah, that's, so it
So
can be a
one
scary
thing would be
world
from
out
over
there.
here,
You just never know.
And
walk to here, where there's 122 spots here that fills that deficit. Yeah, that's the next.
Yeah, you know, years ago,
I
you
need to get
go
something
into
to show.
a government building, and,
Jason
you
and
know,
I.
just kind of wander around and go see
But hopefully this
now.
is 80% there. Just gotta-
You have to
So
have
I've
so
got- I've
many
been
locked
drawing
doors
like-
and electronic entry.
I'm gonna start drawing lines like,
And
okay,
it's good that we
Really
have those
short.
things, but at the same time, you kind
you
of
know,
miss the days that you could actually go down to the gate.
Yeah.
You know,
Basically says
on
these
an
people-
airplane flight, you
You know,
remember doing stuff like
one, they're
that.
not even shorting spots.
And you should be able to walk into the
First of
city
all,
office and say.
they have
"Look,
25
I'm
extra
there."
spots.
You should, yeah, it's-
You should.
works
So
for
people
you.
are
You
walking
should be able
over
to-
here, they just want exercise.
So-
And even if they're
Well,
parking here,
we need
All
to
those 217
rectify the
there that-
flaws in our
that
society.
nobody can claim. Costco can't claim
Because
it,
it's not just the people.
maybe
it's
the mall can, just because.
Officials that cause consternation through.
That's another way that chose a
Well,
parcel,
So
because
we need to rectify it.
Costco can't claim that as their part.
But
If you
people
look at
need to
Ariel, you can
respect
see
one another a
Costco
little
knows,
more.
because they
Be
maintain the parking
conscientious
stripes,
and
but that area
recognize that we're not always gonna
doesn't look like it's been
disagree.
striped in years.
And
But
don't
I
turn
wanted to do a good
everything
job,
into
because I
divisive
wanted to
fighting
make this a permanent GIS layer,
issue just because you don't.
so when we're doing project
Yeah,
planning.
And that's where we're at, so many people,
That's our
we wanna
perspective, not.
split our school district, so we're gonna hate you and make you into a pariah, you know?
We'll try and make it, but yeah, thanks for the compliment.
I went to a legal thing and was, this was Morgan Stanley, and after it was going, they met in the morning, then the attorneys for opposing sides were talking as they're walking out, they're gonna go to lunch. Not then, they're planning to go to lunch like the next week. I thought, weird, I mean, they're representing opposite sides, they're doing their best to represent both sides, but they can still be friends.
Right.
They work in the same industry, but they're gonna do their darndest to defend or represent their client. I that kind of, I thought you were supposed to be enemies. They're not enemies.
I had a client once who was really upset with me because I was polite and friendly and with opposing counsel.
Yeah.
At a hearing, we went in, it's like, hey, how you doing? We some small talk. And
Yeah, you're supposed to hate each other.
yeah, and it's like, oh boy, but that would make working hard if it was a fight every time you came in. Even though, like you were saying, we had to represent our clients, you know, with opposite points of view.
I'm sure if you built that kind of anonymity, when you walk into the courtroom, the judge is not gonna appreciate either one of you
Yeah,
and that attitude, so, because that's his room.
I was, I clerked for a judge here in the 4th District. And after I clerked for this judge, I actually,
Excuse me, I'm gonna the mail on.
Oh. I was doing some defense work, criminal defense work. And so we had a calendar down in Spanish Fork and the judge was there and I knew the judge well and I knew the prosecutor and she later became a judge. And we get done with the calendar, we go to lunch together, you know, and stuff. But then we'd go back the afternoon and I disagree, Your Honor. The prosecutor is, you know, that's not how this, you know, and we just disagree, but we could go to lunch together.
Yeah, well, it's like playing basketball with somebody.
Yeah,
You're not gonna lose just because you're friends.
yeah.
You know, you still wanna win your case, you still wanna do right by your client.
And occasionally it gets a little heated in the,
Yeah,
you know, the game, but at the end of the game, you know, hopefully
somebody threw an elbow and, right? It's all similar stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we do take those things out of different contexts and say, it's gotta be different, gotta be different.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. You don't always have to agree. That'd be pretty boring if we always agree. I mean, we get a lot of vibrance and variety from disagreements, right? Compromise sometimes.
Well, I wouldn't have a job, so.
Yeah. I think disagreement's good and healthy as long as you're mature about it.
Yeah, you know, because I've seen more times than I can shake a stick off. Yeah, you can have people who may disagree on an issue, but if you get together and you really communicate in a good way about your disagreement, you can often find some common ground. Sometimes you can, but frequently you can.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're talking about an issue, my sticking point is this one little thing. Well, I'm not really set on that thing, so let's just get rid of it.
Yeah,
Now we're both happy.
yeah, and that happens, and that's nice. I try to, I'm a big believer, in, let's just talk about the issues, let's work through them, and if we can make this work for everyone, great. Sometimes you can't, and that's okay, and that's why we do have, you know, courts. But yeah.
I was raised that we're not supposed to be a litigious society. You're supposed to try and start from just a good person standpoint of working it out together.
Yeah.
And I think far too many people, that's their first go. I'm gonna take you to court.
You know, when I first started working in local government, anytime there was a project that came in, well, rarely did somebody walk in and the first thing they say is, this is a taking, I'm gonna sue you. Or you can't do this, you're destroying my, you know, and threaten litigation, or you're gonna talk to my attorney. And over the years, the rate of that happening has increased.
Yeah.
And today, it's still not, it's not every time by any means, but I'm not surprised when someone begins their conversation that way with a threat of a lawsuit. It's like, whoa, we got a long way to go before we're gonna be there. Let's just talk about, you know, what do you need out of this? What we need out of this? And see if you can't work that out.
Right, I think that's the best approach, honestly.
Yeah.
Saves a lot of people a lot of headache.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes you can't, and that's okay too, yeah. Just try to.
Second would be key and four, I guess.
But the what?
We don't want to be more than three in there.
I know,
Oh,
I'm feeling like I'm left out.
I know, that was just,
That's okay, man.
You guys are all having hidden combos. I'm suing.
I just found out about
It's our conversation.
I know, everyone's been hearing your conversation.
Yeah,
What have we left on the internet?
We're just talking about people being a litigious society anymore.
Oh.
It shouldn't be, that's why I made that
but
comment.
most importantly, we talked about flopping in the NBA and in soccer.
Yes.
We are, one of my team had a trailer, that's a wreck, they're backing it up. They inched into the vehicle, the damage is literally this much, less than 1 mile an hour, good thing we have cameras. I got served for personal injury, her neck and her back. It was in a parking lot at Taco Bell. He's backing up a trailer on a camera for less than 2 miles an hour, recorded in Hospital. It's in Florida, and I it's her personal injury lawsuit hurt her neck. Her car did not even move, by the way, did not move. We just dipped it, the door, about 2 inch.
Dimple.
Yeah, it could be, it would be body work, because it came in the wheel well. And then here's a fun part, in Florida, I may consider just getting on Florida.
Okay.
We had a truck, a new diesel truck, stolen in 28 seconds without them breaking into it.
How did that?
We have it on video as well. They come behind the truck, they go look at the VIN number, they walk in their car. 8 seconds later, truck starts, unlocks, they get in and leave.
You're kidding.
They have a new transporter device.
Those stupid computers.
So now if you have a Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, or Range Rover, those models, if they're newer than 2020, they all have the electronic shift turn on,
Yeah.
not the actual gear selector that locks the steering wheel.
Yeah,
And if you have that, it's a $300 tool on Alibaba. As long as you put the VIN number in it, walk away with it.
really?
Huh?
That seems like a minor flaw.
Minor. Minor. That should be a cross action lawsuit on them.
Yeah,
No, that's what I was
yeah.
exactly
that should-
pondering through my head.
This is why I'm
28
looking
it
for
took
a
him
late 70s
28
model.
seconds. From beginning to end, from the second they stop behind the truck till the truck is out of the camera view, 28 seconds.
You know, what, modern technology is great, but can also be frustrating. My neighbor had a brand new, what was it, F-150 stolen. And he knows where it is. He can see it on his phone. And he calls the cops and it's like, hey, it's him, you know, and they're coming up and they aren't going to, it was against their policy, it was up in West Valley. They'd taken it up, they'd stolen it out of his garage here in this area. Drove it up to the Salt Lake area, it's in West Valley, he's on the phone with the police. He ends up on the phone with an officer, it's like, oh yeah, I can see him. He's like, 3 blocks ahead of me, but they're not, their policy was no lights and sirens, they're not gonna get in a chase and all of this stuff. And it's like, oh, he's turning into this, oh, he turned over there. He eventually got his car back after, I don't know, maybe an hour of this. And
Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with an invocation by Murray.
Our kind and gracious Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here today and to live in this wonderful country where we enjoy many freedoms and opportunities. And we're especially grateful to live in Utah and in Orem. We are so grateful for the city staff and for all they do for our city. We're grateful for the residents here who love and take care of one another. And we are humbled by this responsibility we have here in the Planning Commission, and pray for thy blessings and spirit to be with all of us in this meeting, to be able to speak clearly and considerately, and to deliberate and understand what is happening and make the best decision that will impact our cities and our neighborhoods here in Family City, USA. And we pray for thy blessings and spirit to accompany us as we do this in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, item 3.1.
All right, item 3.1 is for amending an existing ordinance it's already on the books for the urban mixed-use overlay zone. This would be applied to specific areas in the city. It's adjacent to University Parkway. The property must be adjacent to University Parkway and east of 800 East, and must be more than 1 acre, but less than 2 acres in size. This shows the location that we're talking about today. It's currently a PRD zone. This mixed use overlay would be in addition to that. It would still stay PRD, but the overlay would be in addition to that PRD. This is the concept plan for what the applicant would like to build. It shows the building backing up towards University Parkway. This amendment also has specific parking requirements, and they do meet all the requirements in the amended ordinance. There will be 4 residential units in this complex, and each one of them will be assigned 2 parking spaces, which will be signed and painted, designated only for residential use. This shows the existing zoning as a PRD and then with the overlay. These are the elevations. It'll be a 3-story building. On the first floor will be office space. The second floor will have residential apartments in each of the corners, so there will be 4. And the third floor will again be, and on the second floor between those corners will be additional office space. And then on the third floor will be office space with an open deck area. This shows the floor plan, so you can see on the first floor where the office is. Each of the corners on the second level are residential, and then again, offices and open deck on the third level. Currently, the PRD is approved for 10 townhomes. So this shows you the different concept plans for the existing Hunter townhomes and for the proposed Hillcrest Ridge. And these are the comparative elevations for Hillcrest Ridge and Hunter townhomes. This is the actual text that we will be amending for the overlay zone. As I said, it's already an existing ordinance. I didn't want to go that far, sorry. Again, it's specific to properties adjacent to University Parkway and east of 800 East. And again, it has to be more than 1 acre and less than 2 acres. The number of residential units would be limited based on the size of the building. And then the designated parking for the residential. And they also amended the parking for the commercial. The concept plan has to have specific items. Just more, this is what it looks like now, the street view. And staff recommends that you provide a recommendation to City Council to amend this existing ordinance. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Cheryl at this time? Mary?
Yeah, when was the church taken down from, how long has this been vacant, this property?
That I don't know. That's when this townhomes were approved, so that's probably pretty close.
Okay, 2016.
Mhm.
And this is a question really for Sam. As a traffic study, I'm worried about the traffic in the neighborhood. Has there been a traffic study done? 102 parking spaces is different probably than 24 parking spaces in a townhome. What would be the, and Sam, if you don't know the answer to this, I don't, but can you guesstimate a ballpark what the traffic differential would be versus, 12 townhomes versus this? Do you have any idea at all?
Well, if you're looking from a residential component, right now, we characterize each residential unit can produce up to 14 trips a day. So if you were to have 10,
150 trips then for 12 units.
so I mean, and you
No.
look at the level of service, the asphalt width there, I mean, I really don't see much of a delay that's going to be caused by this development there, both on the corridor itself, having 34 feet of asphalt and that small little intersection there. So it really, yes, it's going to be an increase in traffic because right now there's nothing there, but I don't see it, exceeding our level of service to be like an E or an F.
I'm not worried about the level of service. I'm worried about the impact on the residents. How many trips per day would be in a commercial, so if it's 14, if there's 12, that's 24 cars times 14 is something, a little over 300. How many
Could
trips in businesses typically commercial zones are there? Do we have any data on that at all? And I don't know if that even the question even makes sense, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, when you go to the ITE trip generation manual, you're going to have, sometimes there's going to be 10 studies, sometimes there's 3 or 4, and then it's really going to be dependent upon what's there. Because they could have a commercial use that is going to be 3 or 4 trips, even though they have this large parking. I mean, it's really hard to say. So I really couldn't say without getting their TIS what it actually would be. But it's going to be more than what it is now, because right now there's nothing there.
Okay, any other questions for Cheryl? Okay, is the applicant here? Would they like to come forward and say anything? If you would like to, you can. If you don't want to.
Good.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move to the public hearing portion of this. We'll open up for people to come forward for comments. Please state your name when you come to the mic, and you will be limited to 3 minutes. So we'll open up for that.
Hello, my name is Susan Stone. I do have concerns with this because I have been on that street. We own property there, actually a fourplex. And there it's many times right in the middle of the day when they took that picture is an unusual thing because that whole cul-de-sac is full of cars many times, and it's very narrow on that street. The other thing I noticed is there's no green space in their plan. And if you're having residences, I don't care what you say, they're either going to have kids that need a green space or they're going to have dogs that need a green space. Even though you might say they're not allowed to have dogs in their apartment, they do, whether you like it or not. And then they come and they use everybody else's grass to poo on. And it's very frustrating. So it needs some place that has a green space for kids and dogs and whatever other animals they have. That is my concern, is the traffic. And that it's recently that we've been involved with this, but my in-laws have owned that property for years. And so I've seen that as I've come and helped the last few years. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Holly Holcomb, and I am a resident of that area. Actually grew up on the street just next to it, and live on that same street. So this is kind of very near and dear to our heart. We were there when the reorganized church was there. But there is just a frustration in that it is a residence. And even though, yes, it looks over the parkway, it's not really on the parkway. The parkway is down below. You can't access the parkway from that. It is in truly a neighborhood, with single family and apartments. It is a more narrow road as far as roads go. When there's cars parked on both sides of the road, it is hard for 2 cars to pass So adding that kind of traffic is concerning. And I just feel like it is not really a place for office. We're in the middle of a housing shortage. Why not build homes where people can live? I don't really know as though if we're in an office space shortage, but it doesn't feel like that. And that these are our neighborhoods and are where we need to keep homes, and it's zoned that for a reason, because it was to protect our neighborhoods, and to just turn it into office space where, in my opinion, office space doesn't need to be, I think would do that poor little neighborhood a real disservice. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Hello, name is Phil Hall. I live on 1400 South, right there by that project. And I mean, we've always known that someday something would go there. So it, and in some ways it would, you know, that would be good to get that over with. And it's always been kind of a worry of what's going to go there. But I guess my concern is just with the traffic, like everybody talks about the traffic. It's already really busy through there. And then now we're building the water, whatever that thing is, where Hillcrest School Elementary was, and the pickleball courts and traffic. You're gonna have traffic for that, and then you have traffic for this. And I guess my main concern is, I guess one or the other. You know, if is it a residential or is it a commercial? Is because it's kind of, if having a commercial on the bottom and residential on the top is kind of the worst scenario to me, because then you have issues during the day and at night. And, you know, I think I can handle one or the other. And again, I'm not trying to stall progress in our city. And I understand everybody has a right to develop and to do things like this. So that's my main concern, is just that with the two-phase residential and commercial, that's a little harder to deal with for me. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Avery. I live right next to the property as well that this is planned for. You talked about there not possibly being an increase of traffic on that street, but the time that these offices would be open is in the morning when people are coming to work. This is the same time that our children are leaving for school and they're walking to the buses. The increase is dangerous for our children. So that's all that I have to say, is think about the children that this would impact as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Terry Peterson. I thought if I wore the hat, you wouldn't recognize me, so I thought I wore a hat today. No, I'm on the city council, but I'm talking as a neighbor. So I live across the street from this, and I go walking along where Coles is in the morning, and that is the city just put a brand new "Welcome to Orem" sign across the street, which is beautiful, because that's your introduction to Orem. And as I look at that piece of property, and I understand what the neighbors are saying, and no one has fought harder in this city than I have to stop high density apartments. But this to me is a great compromise for apartments and an office building. Now this office building, I know some of the people that I'm suspicious will be in the office building. These are not guys that are in a 9-to-5 kind of office building. These are where they have a space they can come and meet to do business deals. But here's the challenge. And the developer, I mean, the owner could just say, forget it, I'll just build my 10 townhomes. Where those 10 townhomes are, look how close you are to BYU and UVU. I mean, you got a direct bus line to UVU. So 10 townhomes, if you put see, what do you put? 8 kids in a place, 10 kids? And don't tell me you don't, because you can go right around the corner to Ashton Apartments and I can show them to you. So if you got 10 kids in each townhome and you got 10 townhomes and they're all driving back and forth to school, if I lived over there, I'd say, give me 4 condos any day of the week and some offices there and a beautifully maintained building. Because the people that live there that are already have the fourplexes, they already know the issue. Look at all the problems with parking that they're talking about along the front of the road. This, I can't imagine you're gonna have any problem with parking because you've got plenty of parking there. So, I mean, as a citizen, I strongly support a welcome to Orem with a beautiful office building. And they're also reaching out to have 4 condos there, which helps with a little bit with that. But I would, as a neighbor across the street, I'd be opposed to 10 townhomes there because of the traffic. By the way, there's a 10-acre park a block away from there, which is that will be dedicated in December, which has 12 pickleball courts. It'll be an amazing place to walk your dogs and take your kids. But anyway, that's my comment as a neighbor.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Pete Williams. I represent the Flokini family holdings, which own the Squire buildings that are immediately to the west of this property. I'll be honest, I came here today on kind of a fact-finding mission to find out what we were looking at because we've been approached with a variety of things, not the least of which was to purchase it ourselves. We are where we are today. I think I came kind of prepared to talk against the project, but in looking at it and in looking at the amount of thought that's gone into it and whatnot, we feel, I think I'm safe in saying that we feel like it's a nice project and it will benefit the area. I think if we have any concern whatsoever, when we looked at this project, it was approved for 10 townhomes. And one of the reasons that we were willing to go forward on that basis is that didn't dramatically impact our view plane of Timp and the beautiful stuff to the east. If that can be minimized from our perspective, we don't really have any problem with the project. And given the amount of time and energy that's gone into this and the thought, I think it's actually a very nice project. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I've had a cold, so my voice isn't carrying very well, but my name's Monica Hall. We live right across the street from this area, and we have been very concerned. On the way over here, we realized we'd been in this neighborhood for 30 years, come 10 more days. October 1st, 30 years ago. And it's been our home. And where this is beautiful, but it doesn't need to be there. We need more homes. We're being smothered. We went down the parkway in Provo there at the Aston buildings, all around Costco, the building, hotels going up, the University Mall. We're just smothered by so much traffic. And yeah, even though we have a beautiful park a block down the street that's going to be there, it's more traffic. It's just more traffic. And it's already so busy and so scary to be there and worry about our kids driving, our grandkids playing in our front yard, because everybody goes around that corner and has to turn around because there's a dead end there. It doesn't need to be there. We need more homes. We need more families in the area. And that road is so narrow that we have to pull over to let the other person come past. Don't add to it. We don't need any more. I don't like the idea of just residential either, but not both. We can't do both. It's too hard. It's too scary.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I also grew up in the neighborhood just behind and recently purchased the house that I grew up in. So I've been in the area forever. And Monica's right. When the Aston apartments went up at Costco, they told us 1,000 times, oh, the traffic won't be worse. It's so much worse. I've grown up driving down 800 East constantly to high school and all the things, and the traffic is so much worse. I also have 3 small children who have access to that road through my backyard, and I'm scared. You know, small children, they don't always listen to me. They're always in the road. My oldest just learned to ride a bike. He's always in the road, and as much as I tell him not to be, the traffic really concerns me. And I mean, that's, we're, you know, planning on having more kids, and there's just, and also it would be really nice to have homes there that could bring in kids, not condos that are just packed full, which there's condos all over the place right now, but homes would be so nice. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tally Palmer. I have also grown up in Southeast Orem, and I currently live on 1450 South. I wanted to just echo what Monica Hall said about smothering Southeast Orem. I feel like we have constantly been losing homes and neighborhoods and our school, and you just keep taking and taking and taking and taking from us. And we're just so tired. We're so tired of just letting it go, watching so much of our neighborhoods just disappear from our fingers. Our neighbors have to move to Harriman or Eagle Mountain or South Spanish Fork or wherever to find homes and neighborhoods because we're taking them, we're taking the land, we're taking the space, we're taking the schools from Orem. Why are we making Orem smaller for families rather than giving them space to grow and raise their families? So I do not support a business going in on 1400 South. It will do nothing for Southeast Orem.
Thank you.
My 2 cents in. Traffic. It will make a difference. They say that won't bother the traffic. Put that in their front yard. My wife was killed on the intersection, and I know the traffic is worse. I don't want to see somebody else die. It will make more traffic. In the story.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make one last call if anyone else would like to come up for the public hearing. Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Do we have some questions for either the developer or the off of?
I do have numbers for traffic if you guys want from our TIS that we went through and approved. It's looking like the project will generate 387 daily trips, with 51 of those being in the peak, the PM peak, and that PM peak is from 4 to 6. And the level of service, that intersection would go from a level of service B to a level of service C. So there would be some delay. So that's the analytics and data behind it.
And the intersection, you're talking
It's
14
14th
south and 8th east.
Yeah, the one right there.
And that's for both office space and residential spaces. That traffic
Yes,
number.
that's as for the development as it's being proposed. Yeah, it's with 33,000 square feet of office and the 4 residential components.
Does that calculate the park when it's finished?
No, this is just going off of, this is just what this development would do to that east side of that intersection. It doesn't take into account anything on the west side with what the park would do.
Well, just because that road, I mean, that
To 8th East,
intersection
you
is
mean?
going to be impacted by the park.
Well, I mean,
Heavily.
in looking at this, there's also some assumptions being 42 vehicles are expected to exit that development during the PM peak with 9 enterings, and majority of those vehicles entering would be turning right. I mean, so those are some of the assumptions that we have in that traffic impact study. It's not looking at what the current condition of with the park down the street or anything like that.
Thank you. Jason?
I have a question for the gentleman representing the Square building. Yeah, sir, I have a question for you. Can you come up, please?
To the mic, please.
The mic?
No.
You're not in trouble at all. No, not at all. But I heard what you had to say, and I know you're representing the family that owns the Square building, but it's also my understanding that you guys refuse to give this project access through your property. Is that true?
That's correct.
Why?
Because it's our property and we're not impelled to do that.
I understand. I completely understand.
Is there anything
Or, yeah.
they could do to cause you to change your mind?
Well, let's put it in perspective, just based on what Mr. Kelly just said. 387 trips across our parking lot each and every day. And I recognize that seems silly to the residents, but from our perspective, we have a standalone boundary, meets and bounds within that project, and we're not compelled to have to give access to that other property.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do we have any questions for the developer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you mind coming forward? We have a few questions. Whoever wants to represent the development.
You go first. I'll
No, go. You. Totally fine.
I'm Trent Beasley.
Okay, thank you.
Great. What's plan B? If this plan A, if this plan doesn't go through, which is a great looking building, would be wonderful for Orem. What's plan B for this property?
Back to the 10 townhomes, just
Okay.
as shown. Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the rooms, the residences? What was the intended design, the use? How big are they? Who do you anticipate living there?
Sure.
Do they have, yeah.
This is kind of a unique project in that when you have 4 residences of 1,250 square feet within a high class office building, it's likely that they would be single professionals that maybe even office in the building, or as a second residence for somebody that travels or have multiple homes that want a landing place without the issue or need for taking care of grounds and having security.
Would you be willing to reapproach the owners of the Squire and Company land and maybe purchase some kind of an access? Could that be on the table so that you don't go through the neighborhood?
I think they've been pretty clear at their expectations, but we're open to discuss with them for sure. I think where it becomes problematic is when you have turning a parking lane into a drive lane, where you have cars pulling in and out, backing in and out, and the vehicle trips per day is tough. You don't have the same width in a drive aisle as you do in the road.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have other questions, but not for you.
Not very much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mike?
My question, is there any limitations on the type of commercial that can go into this building? Is it, what kind of commercial uses is it zoned for?
Class A office space.
The amendment doesn't stipulate that.
But realistically, I mean, there's two parts of that. There's the logical part and the financial part. With the cost of construction and the cost of land, it's the lease rates are going to be so high that really this is going to be high-end family office type of space where somebody wants to come and have a creative working environment, not necessarily filled with employees, but this is the top tier of office space.
So not a law firm, not a competitor to Squire and Company, or maybe, who knows? But
No, not likely.
Well, that's a today use. In 5-10 years, it could be another use, which is why I'm asking if there's a limitation in what it's allowed to be used for.
So if I can address that,
In 10 years, it might be an adult bookstore, So that's why
Books would have to get a lot more expensive. Yeah.
Well, it's just the reason I asked.
No, it's a
the
valid
question.
concern, a valid point, because we can't control the long term other than we have limitations based upon cost and parking.
Okay, Jason?
So use is in a 5,000 or 6,000 range, which is office and retail. So it is open to a wide variety of the retail uses.
Mr. Baisley, you purchased the property just recently?
It's been a couple years.
It's been a couple of years. Okay,
Yeah.
so but when you bought it, you knew that the use would be 10 townhomes?
Yeah, we intended to build 10 townhomes, and actually, I'm really surprised, and I feel really bad that we didn't have a lot more of these neighbors at our neighborhood meeting, or at least sharing the same sentiments. Because the neighborhood meeting we did have, we felt like we had a considerable amount of support. So between the neighborhood and the city, we have felt pressure to go a different direction. We're fine with doing the 10 townhomes. It looks like that's what everybody wants. But as we had our traffic study done, I don't think you're going to see a significant difference in traffic between 10 townhomes. In fact, as for the time that we'll can be in control, which would potentially be, I mean, a generation or two, based on the family that's developing this, you will see less traffic with what we're proposing than you will with 10 townhomes. I'm absolutely certain of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further questions for anyone? Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the motion and yeah, but I'm just that portion of the, so we're gonna talk amongst ourselves here for a minute. Do you want to start, Mary?
I would say what's best for Orem, it probably is what you're proposing. And by the way, I tend to agree. So I live in a property where some apartments were proposed behind my house. And I remember going to the builder and saying, why don't you put an office building in here? Because if you put an office building in here, then people only be there it's about 200 work days a year rather than 24/7, 365. Now these were student apartments, and I imagined people being there at every time of the day or night. So I actually do concur with you. I think there will be less traffic with the townhomes. I am worried about the townhomes being used for student housing, particularly since UEX is there. So normally you have 2 parking spots per townhome. You might have, Terry, they're not going to be 10 people there, but there might be 4 or 6 or 3 or 5, or, probably average of those that get converted into townhomes will end up being, so I would, but yeah, so I guess I think there's advantages to both. But I think if the neighbors want townhomes, we need to preserve. Well, you said you wanted houses, but it's already, we can't, as a planning commission, we can't say.
We do need order.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As a planning commission, we can only.
Gary, hold on for a second, Murray.
This is being recorded, and it's important for the record that if there are questions or comments that they're made at the podium so they can be picked up, and it's hard for people to hear. So I think at this point, the Planning Commission has closed public comment. So at this point, it's just a discussion among Planning Commission members unless there's a motion to reopen public comment.
Okay. Yep. Continue. Because
So again, I can make an argument either way. I can go either way, but I get a sense that the neighbors are more worried about a business being here than they are about the townhomes. And if having been a neighbor and having had to have a development behind me, I would always side with the neighbors. Because I think for me, my personal perspective around being on the Planning Commission is we need to fundamentally preserve the integrity of neighborhoods in Orem. I think we're families to the USA, and so that's probably where I would go, even though I think this is a great thing. And I understand why the cities encourage you to do that. And anyway, I don't know, I could be persuaded by my colleagues here to go either direction for sure.
Jerry, would you like to say anything?
I think that it could be a lot worse. We're seeing it in our neighborhood. The two proposals are very minor compared to what we have lived with. I think if you fight it hard enough, you may end up with something worse. That's my opinion.
Hey, Summer Mike.
My biggest concern is the opening of this space into commercial use, because there's no stopping what ends up there. Might be a bunch of little strip mall openings in the bottom. Who knows? Because we don't know what happens in the future. It is a very tight road. I've been down it several times. We just split one of the properties right there. And I'm concerned with opening up the residential into a commercial space. So
yeah, it's very conflicting project because you really don't know how much traffic is going to impact the neighborhood. But I've ran through an experience like that before, right on 8th North by Will's Pit Stop, where they bought an office building that had garages in the bottom, but office in the top. And that ended up being a good thing for the neighborhood at the time. I don't think they plan on changing that, but in the same time, I'm sharing the same concern about what could that change to down the road in the retail space. As neighbors, I understand the traffic and the concern with the children, but in the same time, I really don't think we have a very long-term sight, and what would that actually do? If they say it's a high-end class, A office and professionals living on the top, it would definitely do Orem well. So and at the end of the day, I'm so glad they've had the property for a long time before the increase of prices of properties. And it sounds like it's going to pencil at a townhome, and the neighborhood, as we always talk about, it has to have a say in this. So it's just like Mary, I could be swayed either way, but the retail space is concerning, regardless of how good it looks right now. And you may actually, we may all eat crow if it ends up being townhomes and you have a lot more traffic. We don't know.
Thank you. And for me, it's conflicting too. There's what would potentially be good for Orem, what's good for the neighborhood. How is this future impact on both this area and changing and adding this overlay back in? There's a lot in there, but I do appreciate everyone coming out and participating. We really do appreciate hearing from comments from all sides and to have a better perspective on what's going on. And just to be clear, what we're doing is making a recommendation to the city council. So our recommendation will go to them, and then there will be another meeting at city council at another time. I encourage you all to come and speak again there as well, and they will make the final decision regarding this change to the code. So do we want to put forth a motion? That is a tough one. Well, there's two ways to do it. There's
Positive
for
or negative?
or
right?
negative.
Yeah, we're gonna do
And then we
positive or negative.
can talk about it and vote accordingly.
I guess I probably would do a negative. It's okay if I do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I recommend we provide a negative recommendation to the city council to amend section 2212.5 urban mixed use overlay zone for properties with a boundary adjacent to University Parkway and east of 800 East with an area of more than 1 acre in size and no greater than 2 acres in size. And amending Article 2253A in the zoning map of the city of Orem by rezoning the property located generally at 925 East, 1400 South in the PRD zone to include the urban mixed use overlay zone. Do I say the last two? Also enacting Appendix GG by adding the concept plan and building elevations for the Hillcrest Ridge development.
Second.
Okay. Do you want any further discussion, or are we ready to vote?
I think if Squire gave him access, that would have been the best of both worlds.
Yeah, there was a
But
good
that's-
solution here but
That's out of our control.
Yeah.
So we have to go with what the amendment is and how we want to recommend. You ready, Mike?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
A negative recommendation will be forwarded to city council. Thank you. Okay, item 4.1. Are you gonna go outside so we can finish our meeting? We need to finish first. We're not quite done. Yeah, we have to do a couple quick
Minutes.
things. Okay, item 4.1. Yeah, is the minutes. Sorry. Commotion. We'll just wait just to have a second. No, sorry. No. Okay. Item 4.1, our meeting minutes from September 6th, 2023. Anything? All look good? I think it looked fine.
That'll look fine.
Okay. Motion for approval?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September 6th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second, just for fun.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Ryan, do you have anything further?
I'll just add, speaking of the park, there's concerns about traffic being added to the area, but we did have an elementary school there before that was generating a very heavy AM peak traffic demand problem, as well as an afternoon problem with pickup drop off, right? So now we'll have a cool park where trip generation spread out throughout the day, but it's going to be an amazing amenity to this neighborhood. And I think it's really going to increase property values. It's going to be amazing. And it opens, we're hoping to be done in December. The outside will probably not open, but we're hoping to open the interior of the gym that's being remodeled, but they just poured the pickleball courts this week. And the playground equipment suppliers on site right now starting to lay out all of the equipment out of all the boxes, getting it ready to build. And it's starting to go vertical with all of those awesome amenities. But even we're almost to the point of starting to plant shrubs this week, even though we don't have asphalt down. We have temporary power for a sprinkler clock, but we're talking a $12 million park, 10 acres. It's going to be awesome. So when we cut the ribbon, we hope you all come and see it. So
amazing. I watched the pictures.
When is that? When are you cutting the ribbon?
we're hoping, I don't know if we'll cut the ribbon in the spring or we'll do a
Okay.
soft opening in the fall, but contractors under the gun right now to get it done before it gets too cold. So yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
That will be a nice amenity for the city. Okay. Are we ready to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Mike?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
We're adjourned.
Yeah.